Okay, hi. We are here with our first interview of the year with Mr. Renaldo Lawrence. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us today.
My absolute pleasure. My absolute pleasure. Right.
Fantastic. And we're going to be talking about, well, really, it's kind of about New Year's resolutions, really, the general sense of New Year's resolutions, because obviously it's a new year, it's a new decade, it's 2020, it's January, and a lot of people, they start off the year, they make goals, and they are very passionate about getting into those goals, but catch them 6 months later and ask them what their goals were for the
Yeah.
beginning of the year. And if we're honest, you know, the average person hasn't really got much to say about those goals. Often slip. So you have authored a book, I Am More Than What You See, and you talk a lot about your experience of life, your childhood, the lessons you've learned, and how that really has shaped and formed your mindset. And we also see your daily social media posts as well,
Yeah.
where you're encouraging people daily. So I want to tap into some of that knowledge. I'll be happy if you could share some of those points based on some questions that we have from the people that follow us. So if you're happy to share, we'll get into the
Oh,
question.
without a doubt. Without a doubt. Let's do it. Let's do it.
Fantastic. Okay, so if you could first of all just tell us a bit more about yourself and how it is that you came to become a motivational speaker and author.
Okay, I'm from St. Matthew, South Carolina. I have three brothers, three sisters. Well, four brothers, three sisters. When I was growing up, man, I had very little confidence in myself as an individual. And I think that's where a lot of people are these days. Like, when you talk about austerity, you talk about things that are going on. I think people, even people who were very successful, and now with all the drop in the economy and everything, people, because if you can't live the way you want to live, your confidence will drop if you're not careful, because you're not able to provide things for your family or for people who you love that you really want to. And I think that's the huge thing now with a lot of people in confidence. And I think that confidence is the number one thing in this world, because if you don't feel good about yourself, it's very difficult to do anything productive all the time, because you will drop. But I moved to England. I have two kids. I have a son who played in the Olympics in 2012, professional basketball. He played in San Sebastian. He played in Croatia. He's played the previous 2 years in Rome. I have a daughter who is a social media guru. She just got a job for Condé Nast. So who owns GQ, who owns some of the magazines. They own GQ and quite a few other magazines, the New Yorker, Wired, Vogue, all those magazines.
Wow.
So she's doing a lot of the social media stuff for them. I was drafted by the Clippers in the NBA. When I got cut, I left the country, and I've spent the majority of my life in Europe. And I think one of the things about me being in Europe, it gives you a different flavor. So I'm not solely, my mental outlook on life is just not solely about the United States. It's about worldwide. And I think that when you're looking at yourself as an individual, when you're looking at the world in general, I think the more you travel, the more wide of a type of person you can be. And I think that gives you different perspectives on things. And that's why I always tell, families, if you got some kids, you might not be able to travel to, say, Russia or Finland or wherever else. But the one thing you can do, you can take them out of your neighborhood. You can take them out of your neighborhood. You can take them to London, show them something different. Because if you've never seen it, it's almost impossible to be it. So that's the sort of thing. And that's the sort of thing we've done with our kids very early on. I played in Finland. I played in South America. I played in here. I played in God knows how many other countries, about 8, 10 countries. And through the basketball, man, I've been to every state in the United States, probably about 8, just through basketball. So I was very fortunate. So I've gone from having no confidence in myself to being able to play basketball quite by chance. I was playing one day in the playground, and this guy said to me, "Man, you got something there." But as people, you just think, yeah, right. And then as time went on, I played more, and that's the other thing. Hard work is a monster. hard work is a monster. You know, if you work hard and you have certain goals and ambitions, usually those goals and ambitions will come to fruition if you work hard and you take the right steps. So from there, I played, high school, got a scholarship. I went to junior college first in Lancaster, played for a guy called Glenn D. Hart. I then went to Appalachian State University, where I played for the Hall of Fame coach, Bobby Crimmins. And I met about 5, 6, 7 guys there, 5 of them who remain my long lost friend, my long lost buddies, and they're still my buddies to this day. And we contact each other often. And the nice thing about that is Darryl played he was drafted by Portland, but he played in Israel. Mel Hubbard is still there, played in Israel. Charles Payton, Charles played in Austria. So all of them got some sort of worldwide view about things. So the conversations are extremely rich conversations when we go back and when I go home. So once I did the basketball thing, I then ended up here. I ended up being the 4th leading scorer in the history of British basketball. We did the Guinness Book of Records with 73 points in the game. I think, as we were saying earlier, the thing that got me going, man, was when you have kids, dude. Your whole life perspective change. And you go from that happy-go-lucky person to, okay, now I got people I need to take care of. And so I think my perspective changed on life. And the really funny thing about my perspective on life is everything I saw my mom and dad do, everything I saw them do, I now found myself in their shoes. But I also, which is the crazy thing, I find myself saying things that they said to me, to my kids. And I'm like, oh my God, I don't believe it. But those things, man, and I think by taking on those experiences from your parents and actually listening to things that have happened and then using them. But the other thing, man, is the people in your neighborhood who take care of you. I've had 2 people in my neighborhood who looked after me and made sure, 2 guys, Kenneth Creekmore, who was the band director. I used to play tenor saxophone. And then I had a guy, Coach Oscar Dason, who passed away this summer, who made sure that the gym was open every night so we weren't going in the streets, And I asked him the other day, I said, before he died, I said, Coach, how come you used to open the gym at night? He said to me, well, ask me this. He said, what time does the club close? I said, club close. He said, what time did the club open? I said, club open maybe about 11 o'clock. He said, what time did the gym open? I said, gym open about 8:30. He said, what time did the club close? I said, club closed probably about, 2. He said, well, what time did we finish playing basketball? I said, no, we usually coach about 12:30, 1 o'clock. He said, then how long it takes you to get to the club? I said, about an hour. He said, oh, okay. So message done. Message was done. He was trying to save us. He was trying to save us. So yeah, and then I ended up here, man. And the motivational thing just came about because I just see so many people, man, who are down in the dumps. I see so many people, man, who are looking for a way forward and unable to find a way forward. And by no means of, nothing that has happened to them, really, in a lot of circumstances, just mindset, and just life is beating them up. And with austerity and everything, like I said, life is just beating them up a little bit. So that's why I just decided to do it, and it just came by naturally.
That's excellent. It's a powerful message, I think. Using all the experience and everything that you've seen from around the world, and that being the driving force, I guess what people would say is your why as to what caused you to be a motivational speaker. That's really excellent. So the next question is, what top 3 tips would you give regarding writing New Year's resolutions or goals in general?
I would say the first tip I would give, and it might seem a little off you, but appreciate yourself. And appreciate and understand that regardless of what goal you set, if you're not willing to put the work in behind it, it's not going to happen. And it's not going to happen because life has a funny way of slapping you in the face, where you might want to go to the gym today, but something else happened that prevents you, that thing like called work, where you're tired and you're not able to get it, or you have reports or something to do after school. And I know as an educator, if I don't walk away from that stuff sometime, I could be doing work 24 hours a day, as an educator. And it gets to you sometime, man. And you need to be able to find your places and find your spaces and be able to, step away and do things that are important to you. And I think that's the first thing. So appreciate yourself and just understand that whenever you set those goals, understand that if you don't get it by that certain date, it's okay. Don't beat yourself up about it. And that comes with appreciating yourself. I would say the second thing is give yourself credit for what you've accomplished. Give yourself credit for what you've accomplished, because regardless of what you do, regardless of the goals that you've set, you didn't just get to the place by chance. You got there through hard work. You got there through doing the things in the past. And I just take a look at the things that you've done and then try to add on to the things you've done instead of having this grandiose big dream that you want, that if you're honest, you and I know you ain't really going to do, because time is a monster. So I tend to set goals that I know are achievable, but that stretch me a little. I don't set a goal, say, next year I'm going to travel the world, because it's not realistic. I might set a goal, said, okay, next year, what I'm going to do is I'm going to save money up. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to head off to Finland for a while. I just do goals like that. And then I would say the third one is that regardless of your past, tomorrow's a brand new day. Tomorrow is a brand new day. So whatever you didn't accomplish that day, look to tomorrow, because tomorrow is coming. But understand and appreciate today, because the day is all you got. Okay. So those, I would say, are my 3 top tips.
Excellent. Thank you for that.
Mm.
So going back to your daily posts on social media,
Yeah.
I have to say personally, I've never seen any individual so consistent as you.
Hey, can I say this? I posted something for the last 5 years.
Wow.
You know how I started? I was in Portugal with my wife, and every morning while I was in Portugal, I used to get up and walk. And it would be about 6 o'clock, 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning, and it's just beautiful. And so I had a student that particular half term, and he said to me, sir, he said, at some point in time, can you just maybe give me a message to help me get out of bed and do whatever? And so my first message was, get up, get out of bed. This life is more than just sleeping. Get up right now, get the work done. And even if you do a bit, that is more than you had done. And he came back to me, and then I noticed some other people came back to me. And I think the thing that really did it for me was I had a woman who was, I think she said she was 73. And she said to me, she said, Renaldo, you saved my life today. She said, because my family doesn't love me anymore. They've taken my grandkids. They don't let me see them. And I heard your post today, and it stopped me from killing myself. And then I thought, whoa. Okay, whoa. Can you pause it for a second, please? Can you pause for a second? Once.
Okay, go ahead.
And when she said that to me, I just thought, this thing is bigger than me. And I said to myself then, if one little person like me can make a difference to 2 people's lives, then why not everybody try to help somebody else? And I just think that all of us, man, we all have the opportunity to make somebody's life better, even if it's just opening the door for somebody, even if it's just saying hello to somebody. And so and to be honest with you, man, all this came from my mom. My mom was like, she did everything for the neighborhood. So all of it came from her. So my mindset is a mindset of giving. My mindset is a mindset of helping. My mindset is a mindset of trying to make the world a better place. And that's just it, man. And so that's how all that stuff started, so it's crazy.
That's amazing. So again, in regards to doing that, maybe you've already answered the question, but how do you maintain consistency with that? Because naturally when people set goals, they will set themselves targets. But as you said, sometimes they will not do it and they beat themselves up about it. I know you've given us encouragement about loving ourselves and appreciating ourselves, but how do you maintain that consistency, that discipline? How would you advise others to do that in their goals?
Well, I think, like I said before, what happens is when life hits you in the face, you forget. And I think what people need to do more so and I know that has helped me tremendously, is I write it down so I can see it. Because if it's just going to be in your mind with everything hitting you day in and day out, you're going to forget what it is. And after a while, things sort of drift away. So I write it down. Before I go to bed every night, man, I do two things. Number one is I write down what I've done. I write 4 or 5 things what I've done that day that I've been really successful at. Then I write a list of what I need to do. Now, the things I've been really successful at, when I wake up the next morning and I read those things, I start off with a very positive mindset because it's something that I've done before. I don't start off, because you need to be careful in the morning, because your mind will tell you, oh, today is going to be awful. Or look at the weather. Or you don't want to do this. You got to go to work. You got to deal with this. You got to deal with that. So if you don't stop that foolishness at the beginning, it can perpetuate and go on through the day. So what I do, man, is I read that stuff in the morning that I've written down, and I've done this for the last 6 years, and hence some of the book. And I'd love to tell you a story about the book in a moment, though. But yeah, so I've written it down, and then so what I've done, it allows me to then start the day off very positively. And so I know that regardless of what comes against me, I've got some ammo. The other thing I do every single day for the last 6 years is I listen to positive things in the car on the way to work, positive audio. And I don't have time to read as much as I used to, but I will buy audiobooks. And so I listen to people like Eric Thomas. I listen to people like Joel Osteen, T.D. Jakes. I listen to people, man, who have worldwide views, and what their objectives are is to try to help other people succeed in life. Because all of us need a boost every once in a while. So I listen to those guys. So the two things: number one, write something down, and number two, listen to something outside of the scope of who you are and grow. Okay.
No, that's great. That is excellent. Okay, so what do you feel is the biggest barrier to you being motivated personally? And I guess a spin-off from that would be, how do you deal with that?
I think the biggest barrier for me, if I'm honest, in terms of being motivated, is myself. I'm the only person who can stop me from doing what I really want to do. Case in point, I have a big desire to help adults in this country, because although the government does have programs, I just think they're not touching the lives of the people who children I come in contact with. So if they want to find something that they need in terms of like what's going on in the school, there's no place to go. So what I'm doing is, starting the 22nd of January, I've created my own adult school. And what we're doing is we're going to have adults come in, because we have Chromebooks, and we're going to teach adults how to use Chromebooks. Not only teach them how to use the Chromebooks, but then teach them how we are teaching their students or their children inside the classroom, so they get a better understanding. When the kids come home, they can actually look at what the children are doing and have much more insight into how to use the technology, but also how to use the Chromebooks. So that's one of the things. So I've found, man, that the more I try to do something with somebody else, the less I have in my head of what I'm not doing. And so to me, it's very important that I stay busy. It's very important that I try to make sure that the world is a better place, because, man, I don't know when I'm going to leave here. But when I do, I can guarantee you one thing. If anything is said about me, it will be that he really cared about other people. So that's the thing for me. That's what drives me. That's what fuels me, trying to make sure that somebody else's life is better. And that's my mom. Again, that's my mom. So, yeah.
That's excellent. Tell us a little bit more about your book that you authored, I Am More Than What You See.
Yeah, I have a book, and I wish I had a copy down here. I'll go get a copy in a minute. I have a book, and the book, my mom, when I came from Finland, my mom said to me, she said, do you realize that you pretty much, other than your uncle, probably the only person who have really traveled a lot in this family? And she said, you got stories to tell. And I was like, okay. And I never really thought about it. But then what happened is, I was walking. That's my book. Yes, that's the book right there. I was walking one day, and it is just like all this stuff started flooding to me. I mean, it's just literally page titles, the content under each chapter, the chapter names. It just flew to me. And so I came home that day and I just started writing. And this is another tip. If you want to do something, do one small thing. And if you do one small thing, then you get the impetus to do other things. And I just started writing and I couldn't put my pen down. I started writing and started typing everything up. And before I knew it, man, I had 8 chapters. I mean, literally within the space of 5 weeks, I had 8 chapters. And then I think I have 14 in the book, and I just kept on writing. But I think also the other thing is your life is no different than my life. It is just that we view things from a different lens, but all of us go through the same thing, all of us in some form or fashion. And so I just told my story. And I think my story resonates with everybody or most people because my story is their story. The only difference, I wrote it down. That's the only difference between me and the next person is I thought enough of my life to write my story down. Because now my kids, my grandkids, my kids' kids, my kids' kids' kids, they will know that I was on this planet. But the other thing that really does it for me is the amount of young men in my school that tell me, because the school bought the book and there are probably 3 or 4 copies in the library, that they've read the book. And the amount of young men that tell me, sir, I listened to your post and thank you so much because the day you helped me get through the day. And so I take that stuff very seriously. I take it extremely seriously. And yeah, man, so that book to me, and the wonderful thing about that book is I just finished recording the audio version of the book. So at the beginning of February, in the first 2 weeks in February, we're going to get all the artwork up and we're going to get the book published. It's being edited now and we're going to get it up. I spent Christmas recording it with the sound engineer. So we're going to get it up and then we're going to put it up and then hopefully it can bless somebody else.
That is excellent. And I'm looking forward to the audio version.
Thank you.
I often listen to my books when I'm driving. I do a lot
Yeah.
of distance driving.
Yes. Well, the thing about this book, man, is that this book is me, this book is you, this book is every other human being on this planet. This book is about the things that we go through. We have chapters such as a mother's love. We have chapters like the saxophone. I had a chapter, part in the saxophone where, and this is love. My grandmother, when I played the saxophone, and I was at home in the living room one day, and I was playing, and she knew that I had trouble with another part, and I couldn't get the other part. So she, on the telephone, she called my aunt and said, listen to him play. So I was playing, and right before I got to the part that I found difficult with, she said, that's enough. And it was not till years later that I thought, wow. And what she was doing was instilling confidence in me because she was saying, I see you. I see you and I hear you. And other people need to see and hear you. So that's so long ago, those sort of roots were being implanted in me. So everybody on this planet, man, has a gift. And I think that the thing with the gift is trying to find out what the heck that thing is. But man, once you find out what it is, and I think the biggest mistake a lot of people make today is that they just assume that when they find that gift, it's just going to miraculously give them something. But I ask my kids all the time, I said, okay, tell me this. Do you go to the library? Oh, sorry. Do you go to the library? Yes, sir. That's okay. So something happened here. Can't get you big again. Oh, there we go. Don't know what's happening here. Can't get you back to full size again.
Oh, it's okay. I'm still here.
Yeah, sorry, I lost my train of thought. Oh, I said, do you go to the library? I said, yeah. I said, well, what do you see? What do you do when you go to the library? Oh, nothing really. Sometimes I go, sometimes I don't. I said, do you listen to YouTube? Yeah, sometimes. I said, well, what are you listening to? Oh, we play games. I said, okay, now. So what do you want to be when you grow up? Oh, a doctor. I said, so what, you now at year 7, do you know what it means to be a doctor? Do you know what it means to try to be a doctor? Nah, not really, but you want to be a doctor. I said, well, why don't you use those tools that you've got right now, like the YouTube, like the whatever else, to try to learn what it entails. Because by doing that, you're getting a head start on the rest of the world, young man. You're getting a head start on everything that you want to do, and I think that's the thing, and that's the difference in a lot of what I've done, man, is that library's been my best friend. Tell you a quick story. So I was at the Great Court Hospital School, and I used to be a PE teacher, and I was very tired of PE. Just tired of, because I just didn't want to, spend the rest of my life to being a PE teacher. So what happened was, I had a friend who was a network manager, and then another friend, Susie, who was the head of IT. But she was pregnant, but she didn't tell anybody she was pregnant. And she knew I was interested in IT. So she said to me, Renaldo, she said, I'm going to be off a whole year and I'm going to leave this certain date. So if you're really interested, you need to get started. So what I did was I went to every single department in the school and said, okay, if you could have an internet site or intranet site, what would you have on it? So they gave me all of this stuff and I took it. And by this, now understand, I couldn't even spell the word computer, okay? But just one day I was in the library doing a cover lesson and I just saw this book called The Internet. And that's literally the title. So I started reading, I got interested, and I said, okay, so if I get all the stuff from these people. So man, without a word of lie, and this is when the library was open on a Sunday, I spent every single day, bar none, unless I wasn't in the country, in the library, studying, taking out materials, and trying to do something with it. And lo and behold, I got the job. And then when I got the job, that just springboarded me onto more things. But the number one thing is, and it's not, it's not like, oh, Ronaldo's an amazing person. Not at all. Ronaldo worked for what he got. Ronaldo spent time. Ronaldo spent investment. Ronaldo had his wife mad with him a lot of times because Ronaldo wasn't doing things around the house that he should have done. And I never forget what my wife said to me. She said, I don't see why you're doing all this IT stuff. You're not getting paid for it. So why are you doing it? And lo and behold, man, I got the job, and then her tune changed. And then I got another job, and I left the school, got another job. And then my life has been just, doing what I do since that. But the number one thing is hard work, man, hard work. And don't tell people your dreams, because people will smash your dreams. Don't tell people your dreams. Under my experience is I keep my dreams close to my chest, because if nobody can see it, because it's not their dreams, then why should they believe it if they can't see it? So I keep it close to my chest, okay? Yeah, so that's that.
That's great. I think there's so many things in that to unpick, so many things. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of questions generated when people are watching this live. Yeah, I agree with that. I think I'm the same. I prefer to show it and then say it, rather than saying, here's what I'm going to do, because many people, they can't see it. Sometimes though, you need someone else to speak into your life what you can't see in yourself. And that can be a galvanizer. But I think as far as once you've got it inside yourself, once you can see it, keep it close to your chest. I agree with that 100%. And it's interesting, you're self-taught, you went to the library. I mean, when people see your credentials, they'll see Adobe Education Leader, they'll see Google Certified Educator, all of these different things. And one could assume that you had studied computer science as a degree or something like that, etc. But tell us a bit how you came into those relationships as well. I'm sure that'll inspire and help somebody.
I think the thing is, the number one thing I would say is put yourself in a situation where other people can see what you're doing. So the number one thing for me in terms of, because I was with Adobe when they were Macromedia. And there was a young man, his name was Mark Green. And I went to a conference once. And I said to Mark, look, man, can I please have a box of the software? And I just want to show you guys what some stuff I can do. And he said to me, well, we don't have an education department. And he said to me, by next year, we will. So guess what Renaldo did? Next year, I was right back at that conference, and then they had somebody for education, okay? So follow-up. The second thing is follow-up. So I went in, they gave me a box, and I created some stuff. And he just said to me, oh my gosh. He said to me, are you using this stuff? I said, yeah, man, I'm using it. He said, okay, well, we got this program called Macromedia Education, Educational Leaders, and I want you to be a part of it. I'm like, cool. So what then happened was, and this is how I know there's a God. I went to Adobe and I said to Adobe, can I please have a box of the PDF software that you have, Adobe Acrobat? And they said, no, we just don't give away software. Well, can I say to you, within 6 months after I went, Adobe purchased Macromedia. But the amazing thing was all the people who I had relationships at Macromedia got the same jobs at Adobe. So I called the woman up the next week and said, can I have? She said, well, of course you can. So persistence, 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 persistence. And then I was lucky enough, man, to the stuff that I was doing, you know, we just created a bunch of stuff and people liked what we did. And, you know, then I traveled to the States every summer and we worked with other teachers around the world, showing them what we're doing. And so it's wonderful, man, because like the Adobe thing, the same thing happened with the Apple thing, you know, the Apple Distinguished Educator. Same thing happened with the Microsoft innovator teacher developer thing. You know, I found the right people that I needed and I showed them what I was doing and it happened. Nothing just happens. If you don't put in the hard work, nothing just happens. So I would say, man, the first thing is put yourself in a position where the people are that you want to be associated with. I would say the second thing is have the content created and don't just talk about it, be about it. Show people what you're doing. And I would say the third thing is be consistent with what you're doing. And always the fourth thing, make sure that whatever you're creating, you're benefiting somebody else's life. Because if it's just what you want, so what? So what? The world doesn't care about what you want. The world cares about what it wants. So whatever you're doing to help the world, that's what the world will get back to you.
That is excellent. That is excellent. Renaldo, this has been fantastic. I really appreciate all the answers that you've given. I don't know if you've got any just final thoughts that you would like to say to people regarding 2020, their goal setting, achieving their goals, etc.
I would say that the first thing is this. If you got to go, write it down where you can see it all the time. You know, put it in the car so when you get in the car, it's in the car. Put it in the bathroom so when you're brushing your teeth, it's right there above you. Put it in the bedroom so when you go to bed at night, it's right there. But don't beat yourself up about not accomplishing certain parts of your goal. And I will say that the other thing is, like with my book that I wrote, once I decided that I wanted to do the book, my biggest problem was, when do I write? So I had to find out the best times for me. I had to find out the best times that I wasn't interrupting my family. The best time for me was early in the morning. I never used to be a morning person. But it's amazing when you got a goal and you write it out of what you want to do, how you can become a morning person. So I got up in the mornings and I would just start typing, you know, go. But the other thing, man, is that if you have a dream and a goal, if that thing is not in the back of your mind all the time, it's not a real goal and a dream. That book was in the back. Everything I did, when I put one foot in front of the other, I saw a chapter. When I was doing something for anybody else, I saw a paragraph. You know, so I would have to say is that please write it down. Understand that whatever you want, it is possible if it's within reason. But the other thing is, man, understand this. You are God's gift to this planet. And you were not put here just to breathe. You were put here to help other people. You were put here to be able to give this planet something that when you're gone, they can say, James was here, and this is what James was about. You're put here to be a blessing to others and not just to be a selfish individual. And if anybody is in the sound of my voice, understand this. You are magnificent. You are amazing. All you have to do is start believing it. That's it. Just start believing it and understand this one thing. You were put here to be the best and the biggest blessing that you could ever be. Now get off your butt and get out there and start doing something about it.
That is a fantastic final word. Thank you so much, Renaldo. Really appreciate it. And looking forward to hearing more from you in the future. I know there's going to be other times, other interviews and other questions of people, not just in the honing group, but those who come to Edgeware Education events may have for you. So thank you very much for your time.
And I just say this one thing, and please leave this in. You have been a big inspiration to me in the things that you do. And I'm not saying this because you're here with me, but you have been. And I'm the kind of person, man, who I look from afar and I take note from afar.
Mm.
And the things that you're doing has been very interesting to me. And I think that you are one of the individuals who I look up to for what you're doing, but also the way that you carry yourself as a human being, especially as a Black man, the way you carry yourself. When we were at the House of Commons together, just to see that we were in there, and there weren't many people that looked like us in there. But the most magnificent thing about being in there with you was that we felt that we belonged in there. It wasn't like, oh, I'm here. No, we belong here. And I think all these young kids, man, you know, anything that you want to do, you got to feel like you believe, oh, fake it till you make it. Make it till you make it. You know, you need to be. But I want to thank you for everything that you do for the world, everything you do for the kids here, everything you do for the teachers. And I appreciate having you as a friend.
Thank
Sincerely.
you.
Oh, that's the
Thank
truth.
you. I appreciate that. And the feeling is definitely mutual. You are an inspiration, a huge motivational factor in my life as well.
Appreciate it.
I'm humbled by the kind words. I really am. But
This is the truth. And isn't that the problem? Isn't the problem that we're quick to tell people when they do something wrong, but we're slow to appreciate them?
very true.
And so go through your life every single day being appreciative that you have another day and being appreciative. The least little thing, man. Oh, you opened the door for me. Thank you. Oh, I'm opening the door for you. Smile. You know, the magical thing, man, if you smile, you try smiling sometime. Well, you'd be surprised. You'd be surprised. And when you walk in a room, smile.
It's true.
Doesn't hurt. All right. Thank you so much, man.
Fantastic. Thanks. I'm going to stop the recording now.
Okay, cool.